Good morning, guys. It's David Jaroszewski, and today I'm going to talk about problem-based learning versus project-based learning, and talk about part one of our book, Problem-Based Learning and Inquiry Approach by John Barrell. So in chapter one, they focus a lot on two different types of PBL strategies, a KWHALAO or a OTQ. So the first one is just trying to get to know what do you already know about the subject, what do we want to know, how and where will we find out, uh, the information, the access to resources, the reporting, what do we expect to learn, the A is for apply, and then the last one is for new questions. And then the OTQ is observe, thinking, and questioning. Me personally, I prefer the first one because it's more expansive and requires a little more critical thinking. It also, importantly to me, it illuminates students' background knowledge, their baseline knowledge of a certain topic, and it gets them to start thinking about schema and like starting to build those connections between different concepts and terms, which is super important for them, for the students to help catalyze comprehension of usually difficult, challenging key terms. But when they start connecting it to other things they know, it really helps with the overall learning process. The first one also requires a little more student involvement and inquiry, and it asks students to apply knowledge and inquiry towards other topics. Both of them are can be very beneficial. The observe, think, and question one, I've used that a lot just on like daily lessons as a quick, brain activity to get them thinking about topics, which is always good. Chapter two, for this one, it talked more about PBL strategies and more specifically some of the important adjectives and things, behavioral skills that we would like to see in our classroom. And at least for me personally, there's four that I really honed in on that I think are very important for kids to master and to be able to exhibit. The alternative point of view, just seeing the world from other people, just seeing that the world's not white and black, it's not, binary, despite globalization, political divisiveness, and all that stuff. Kids being able to see, other people's opinions and views and ideas of things is really important. So we don't live in this world where there's a lot of animosity and divisiveness, which is kind of what we see in America right now, which is unfortunate. Just being tolerant, those kind of tie hand in hand. So being open and accepting of all people, regardless of their race, their religion, their gender, political views, etc. The list goes on. Just being tolerant of other people and being accepting of them for who they are is always super important. More specifically to PBLs and the inquiry approach is just being curious. So in all these forms of curiosity and questioning and just wanting to learn more is really important to foster that behavior and that attitude in your classroom. We want the students to be curious about what the topic is, what they're learning about, and it'll get them more engaged and excited about what you're teaching in the classroom. And finally, being able to cooperate in this world, in every work occupation, every workforce, you're going to need to be able to cooperate with other people and be tolerant of other people because we live in a diverse area, especially in California. We're going to need to talk to people of all different political backgrounds, race, gender, etc. So being able to cooperate and work together with others is vital to their success in school and also outside the classroom as well. Chapter three, some of the best ways for me that students can help self-assess themselves, assess their learning, is thinking journals. I have them write usually every day in a daily journal, or I have them turn in exit slips to demonstrate what they learned today, to demonstrate the knowledge that they learned on any given unit, some thoughts or questions. So it could be after any lesson or activity or project. Is super important. Concept maps are obviously super beneficial as well, especially for our visual learners, to help them demonstrate their knowledge in other ways and help them connect usually challenging concepts. Then they can draw a picture of it, some type of illustration to demonstrate to you that they understand the material And it just helps them, bridge the gap between learning concepts and content. And finally, and most importantly, I think is group discussions. So just discussing the material with your students and having them discuss it with each other is hugely beneficial to their success in the classroom. It helps them just work on their academic language, their oral fluency, talking to others, being able to question, being exposed to other people's thoughts and opinions and questions is really important for their success, not only in the classroom, but like I was talking about earlier, as they move forward in life and they're in, whether they're with their family or with their friends or in their job, they're going to be able to, they're going to be confronted with people of all different shapes and sizes and religions and colors and all that stuff. And it's really important for them to be able to talk to someone and be able to articulate their opinions and do it in a very tolerant and professional manner. So problem-based learning is the basis of it is crafting these creative and innovative solutions to problems through teamwork and collaboration. That was one of the behaviors that I thought was really important. It's just teamwork and being able to collaborate with others is one of the most important skills that they can master and develop as they go through school that'll help them for the rest of their lives. And problem-based learning, whether it's problem-based or project-based, both of these types of inquiry approaches are really beneficial for the students. And the goal specifically of a PBL is to create these flexible and adaptable learners who are focusing on an issue and they need to come up with solutions to an issue, to a problem together, which helps on teamwork, collaboration, innovative thinking, creativity. It really gets their curiosity going, especially if it's a topic that they're interested in. And finally, it uses a bunch of different intellectual and pedagogical processes to investigate and solve these really complex problems. So they need to work together to solve a problem and come up with a solution for it. So the difference between the two is pretty minute. Both of these big inquiry approaches fall under the big umbrella concept of inquiry-based learning. They differ a little bit. So project-based learning is usually more expansive and large and is interdisciplinary as well as transdisciplinary. So it covers multiple subjects. It usually takes weeks, maybe months, and there's a huge, final show, product, or presentation that's created for an audience. I did that last year with my student teaching at Claremont High School, where we had this huge policy presentation that we gave to a bunch of investors, and it was really awesome. So there's this big culmination project at the end. Problem-based learning is a little different. It's a little more focused and narrow-scoped. It usually focuses on one subject. It's a little shorter in length, so I think it's a little more beneficial. If you're not in a linked learning program or a WBL, you can do this problem-based learning inquiry approach with any unit. It could be a few days long, it could be a week long, a couple weeks. You can do that with any topic, any subject. I just think it's a little more practical for just one teacher instead of getting a bunch of other teachers involved. If you don't have the structure to do that, a problem-based learning approach is really beneficial. But both of these methods are a lot more similar than they are different, and both can be really important for a teacher to implement in the classroom. And finally, just the most important things about student inquiry and curriculum is just making a student-centered learning environment in your classroom can create the most adaptable and innovative and forward-thinking student that we need in the 21st century. It just creates this really flexible and engaging curriculum that can be fun and relevant and engaging for your student, which is the most important aspects of teaching and structuring a curriculum that you can do. So these like the PBLs, the student interests and their passions really guide the creation and help you structure the lessons and activities and projects that you can implement in the classroom. So at least for me personally, as a social studies teacher, I can create these PBLs about really relevant issues. So if I'm talking about the Reconstruction era or immigration during the Industrial Revolution, the early 20th century, it doesn't matter the era. These questions of racism and immigration and pollution and income inequality. Um, Unfortunately, we haven't solved them yet, but they span throughout the decades and the centuries. And these are all issues that affect us on to varying degrees, and they can easily be crafted into your instructional units, and you can still keep your content standards and all that stuff, but you can incorporate real life relevant problems into your units, and then come up with different projects and problem based learning inquiry assignments for them to do. That could be really fun for both the teacher and the students to finish.